The things that are in the library here are not in the bookstore. And I'm not talking about the books.
1, 2, 3, let's switch this up.
Hello and welcome back, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Today I'm going to be doing the Bookish Would You Rather tag. I was tagged in this by Jen, or Genderqueer. I will link their channel down below in the video that they did in the description box, and I believe they said that this was originally a blog post, so I will also try to link down below in the description to the original blog post so you can check that out as well. But for now, we're going to jump right into this tag, so if you're interested, then keep on watching. Would you rather have a friend who loses your books or one who dog ears them? I would say if the book is a book that I have not annotated and it is a friend that I can trust will buy me a new book, I would rather them just lose my unannotated copy and buy me a new one than for them to return my unannotated copy with pages folded down and dog-eared. That's gonna make me angry. I'd rather just have a fresh copy. However, if the book is annotated, I would not want them to lose that because I can't get those annotations back. And I have to go back through a book and re-annotate, like, no. I would much rather them just return my annotated copy back to me with it dog-eared. Next, would you rather secretly love a book everyone else hates or secretly hate a book everyone else loves? I think I would rather hate a book that everybody loves, only because when you love something, or at least for me, when I love something and I'm like really invested and like really into something, I want to talk about it all the time. And it's not going to be fun if I love something that everybody hates. So I would much rather secretly hate something that everybody else loves, and I could just pretend like I care when I don't, versus me like being so obsessed about something and everybody else looking at me like I'm crazy. Question number 3, would you rather be stuck on a very long plane ride or a train ride without a book? I wouldn't want to be stuck on a long plane ride under any circumstances. Like, I don't care if there's a movie theater on the plane. Like, I don't like planes. So under no circumstances would I want to be on a long plane ride. So by default, my answer would be train. I am afraid of planes, roller coasters, like anything that involves me like not being on the ground, I'm not a fan of. Would you rather have dinner with your favorite author or your favorite character? Oh, favorite character for sure. I don't even really have a favorite author. So by default, the answer would have to be character. But there are plenty of characters that I would love to like sit down with and like talk to if they were actual real people. Would you rather date a character you have a crush on or your crush from real life? Do I have a crush in real life? That's not a celebrity. Like, I don't count celebrity crushes because I'll probably never meet them. So that would be the same thing as having a crush on a fictional character, like someone that you'll never meet. Doesn't matter. But like a real life, like real person that I know, like IRL, that I have a crush on, there is not anyone that comes to mind. So I guess by default, I would have to pick that I would rather date a character that I have a crush on. And the first character that comes to mind obviously is Rhysand. And then I would say after Rhysand is probably Luca from Love Light Farms. Also, Rhysand is from ACOTAR. I didn't say that at first because I just assumed that everybody has read ACOTAR, but for those of you who haven't, Rhysand is from ACOTAR, that series. And then Luca from Love Light Farms. I really like Luca. Like that, his character has really stuck with me ever since I read that book. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend. I mean, it's not Christmas time anymore, but I mean, who cares? Nobody's judging. Would you rather have your favorite book turned into a movie or your favorite movie turned into a book? If my favorite movie was turned into a book, I probably wouldn't read it. I'm just gonna be completely honest. I don't have the motivation to read a book when I already know like what the ending is. Like, what keeps me reading is wanting to know like what's gonna happen, wanting to know, you know, how they're gonna get out of this sticky situation, or you know, how this juicy tea is gonna get exposed, or how are they gonna solve the crime, or who's, you know, who done it, who's the murderer. Like, that is what keeps me reading, wanting to know. And if I already know because I've seen the movie, then I have no incentive and no motivation to then read the book. So I definitely would not want a movie to be adapted into a book. I would much rather have the book to be adapted into the movie, which for me is more fun, just because when you're reading, at least when I'm reading, I can like imagine like the set or the characters, or you know, the different things that they describe in the book. So it's fun to then watch the adaptation to see like how close your imagination was to like how it ended up getting adapted. And sometimes you're like, oh, like that's exactly how I envisioned it, and sometimes you're like, oh, that's what that looked like, that is not what I thought it looked like. So that to me is just fun. Question number 7, would you rather read a book with an annoying cliffhanger or one where your favorite character is killed off? This one really has me stumped. When you know how stories are written and you know like, okay, this character is going to be introduced because they're going to be the love interest, or this character is going to be introduced because they're going to be the villain, this character is introduced because they're going to get killed off or whatever. So it's like sometimes you kind of already know. So I wouldn't mind like if a favorite character of mine was a side character that did get killed off. I also don't mind cliffhangers though, as long as there's like a part 2, a sequel, a book 2, or whatever that is then going to like pick up where it left off. Now if it just ends like that, like I think Paper Girls, for example, I don't think that Paper Girls is coming back for a second season. So the way that that show ended is kind of infuriating. One, because they went completely off book from the actual comics themselves, but also because there's this huge cliffhanger and now we're not going to get another season and it just ends like that. So like that's super irritating. I think if I had to choose, I would rather read a book where my favorite character gets killed off, because if I have to read a book where there's a cliffhanger and there's not going to be like a part 2 or another book or whatever that comes after, a novella, an epilogue, anything, it just ends and we don't get any kind of like explanation or resolution, that's going to infuriate me, because I'm going to be like, what was the point of me reading all of this? I read all of this to get answers and instead you left me with questions. That would really get under my skin and piss me off. Would you rather lose the ability to read any new books or the ability to reread books you've already read? I would rather lose the ability to reread books I've already read. I've actually never reread a book before. So at this point in my life, I'm perfectly okay with never rereading a book, because I mean it's an ability that I haven't used up to this point. So I think moving forward, that's something that I will be okay with foregoing, but I wouldn't want to miss out on the opportunity to read new books. Would you rather live in a library or a bookstore? I remember this being in Jen's video, and I remember them saying that they would rather live in the library because books always come back. And I was like, that's genius. But I disagree. I would not want to live in the library. And I guess it's because when I think about the library, I think about like the libraries where I live, and the libraries where I live are not, how should I put it? The things that are in the library here are not in the bookstore. And I'm not talking about the books. There are things that are in the library that I don't want to have to live with that are not in the bookstore. So I'd much rather live at the bookstore. People tend to be more cautious in bookstores because if you rip something, tear something, stain something, mess something up, it's one of those things where it's like you break it, you buy it thing. So like people tend to be more cautious in bookstores versus the library. People, they're like, this is free, you know. I don't feel like people take as much care when it comes to the books at the library. Plus, if it's a bookstore, even if the book like sells out, I'm sure they're gonna get another shipment of it at some point. Like it's not just gonna be gone forever. So like books don't necessarily come back, but you'll get new books. So it's like you'll constantly have a new fresh copy of your favorite book if you live in the bookstore. Versus if you live in the library, they'll keep returning it and it's gonna get dingier and dirtier, and people are gonna stain it and do all kinds of things to it, dog-ear the pages and whatnot. But when it's a bookstore, the books are always new. The books are always fresh and crispy. No stains, no dog ears, no cracked spines, like just pristine condition. If you have a really nice library, then maybe your answer would be different, but where I live, the bookstore it is. Would you rather lose your place or get a paper cut every time you read a book? Oh my gosh. I would much rather lose my place. I don't like paper cuts. Paper cuts are so annoying. Have you ever gotten a paper cut like in the web part of like this part of, I can't really see what I'm pointing at because the viewfinder is so small, but like this part of your hand, oh, it's the worst. Or in any finger, like just the webby part or whatever, like every time you go to do something, grab something, reach for something, it like rips open. Would you rather have to always read in the dark or always read books with tiny text? Oh dang. I would rather read in the dark because I have a book light. I actually have like 3 book lights. So even though the room that I'm in is dark, I have light. Or if I'm reading on my phone is lit up. I actually do quite a bit of reading on my phone. So even if the room is dark, my phone is light. So between my phone being lit, my phone having its own flashlight, and me having like 3 different book lights, I can read in the dark any day. And the last question is, would you rather read by a fireplace or on the beach? Huh. It's really hard to say because I haven't done either one. I don't know like what the pros and cons are. Like when I think about reading at the beach, I think about like the wind, and I feel like the wind could be really annoying trying to read and the pages flipping and stuff. I also hate sand. So, but also like if I'm going to be reading at the beach, I'm likely going to be like laying on like a lounge chair or something. So like it's not like the sand is going to be bothering me in the moment. And then with the fireplace, I like the fireplace, or at least I think I like the fireplace. I don't actually know because I've never done it. But I would say that like I'm mostly a vampire, so I don't really like the sun. Like I said, I don't like the sand. I think the wind could potentially be really annoying. If you don't have one of those umbrella canopy things, whatever, the sun could be annoying. So I think maybe reading by the fireplace might be the superior option. And those are all the questions. This was fun. This made me think. There were definitely some good questions. There was at least one in there that like just completely stumped me, where I'm just like, wait, pause. Let me think about this. Thank you so much to Jen for tagging me. I am going to be tagging Books to Ashes, Tangible Reads, and Sister Harlem's Library. I will link all of their channels down below in the description so you can check out their videos when they post theirs. Be sure to like this video if you made it this far. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you are not already subscribed. All of my socials, as always, will be linked down below in the description box, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. What is that? Oh, I left my book stand up. I did not know that that was sitting up there this whole time. I was reading Death Note before I started filming this video, and I guess I forgot to move that. Usually I have a candle sitting right there, but I guess today you guys are gonna get Death Note. There you go.